Good morning. Happy Tuesday if you're watching this on Tuesday. Hopefully you've already listened to the read aloud, the three little wolves and the big bad pig. And we're going to build a Frayer model together again with the new characters and the new settings and the new plot. So I'm going to keep adjusting the camera as I need to. And I've got my Frayer model already drawn out. I'm going to put the title in the middle. I'm going to abbreviate a few things. 3 little W's and a BBP, Big Bad Pig. So that's my abbreviated title for the 3 little wolves and the Big Bad Pig, because it probably won't fit in that circles. Again, on the top, we need to label top left characters, spelling is important, Mrs. B. Then we have the setting over here in the top right. Down here on the bottom left, we're going to put the plot again. And then these are things that we could change or that were changed in this version. So what was changed to make this story a version of the regular 3 little pigs? So I'm going to grab another color marker back here. Got a basket underneath of different things. So I've got green just because I'm changing colors for fun. So our new character list, we still have a mom. She still tells the boys it's time to go out and get things going. There are 3 wolves. There is 1 BBP, a big bad pig. Now there are a lot of other little characters, and I don't mean little in their size, but they're not as important as these characters. The characters, the animals that are hauling the different supplies that the pigs borrow or buy from, we're not going to add them to this list, but they are good to put in your version. Make sure you have a few extra characters that help bring the story, that help move the story along. So like the rhinoceros and the different animals that had the supplies, have someone in your story with those supplies, or maybe your characters find them on the side of the road, or they go to the landfill or the recycling center, something like that. But you've got to figure out how the animals get the supplies in order to do whatever you think they should do in your new version. So the setting again is pretty much in the woods, okay, out somewhere in nature. We've got the original home that they built was brick. Then we had concrete or cement, same thing. And then we had mostly like armored plates. What else did they have? Barbed wire, metal rods, padlocks, and plexiglass, and some other fun things that just made it as impenetrable, which means you can't penetrate it, or you couldn't unless you decided to blow it up. And then the plot, was it the same? Do you feel like it was the same or different? One big thing I noticed is that in this version, all 3 wolves stayed together. No matter what home they were building, they stayed together. Oh, I forgot one more home, didn't I? Go back up here, we had the flowers, which was our final setting, the House of Flowers. So back down here, we had 3 wolves, and they worked together every single time. They did not build individual homes. Another thing that happened in the plot was the big bad pig, he couldn't huff and puff, or he tried every single time, but was he successful? No, that didn't work, except maybe in one of the houses, right? So he had to pick up something, he had to come up with another plan. So he had to have a second option to get rid of the house, or to get into the house, or to get the wolves out of the house, okay? So whatever his second option was, it was a little different for each of the homes, right? So what did we notice was changed in this story. So some things that might have been changed, we definitely had, the characters were slightly different. Same characters, they just had a different role. So I'm going to put R-O-L-E, characters. I'm going to put an apostrophe after the S because it was a bunch of characters and it was the role of the characters. So R-O-L-E is not the kind you eat with dinner. It's not the kind O'Charlie's puts on the table. It is what they played, what they were in the story, their role in the story. So the character's role was different. The wolves, as I mentioned over here, they stayed together instead of splitting up and building their own homes like in the original version. So they stayed together. Some other things that changed certainly were there was a big bad pig, not a big bad wolf. And I'm sure you can think of some other things that changed, like the types of homes, and other things that you may or may not think of. So take a few minutes, get a sheet of paper, fold it up, or open up your reading journal and draw this Frayer model. There was a professor named Frayer, and he got this named after him because he created it and put it out into the world. So now it's called the Frayer model because of someone who came up with something. So if you invent something, you get to name it after yourself too. So the Frayer model for this has characters in the top left, the setting in the top right, the plot in the bottom left, and then the things that we noticed that changed from the original version to this version. Okay, so your job now, after you create your Frayer model, your next job, so that was part of reading, and this is going to move right into some writing activities for us. You're going to design your own version of the three little pigs. So again, does it have to be pigs? That could be part of the change. Does it have to be three? Nope. That could be part of the change. So you're coming up with either you're going to change something about the characters. Now remember, you're going back to the original version, not the new fun version that we read or heard today. You're going back to the original version, thinking about the characters that may or may change, maybe your setting. Both of these settings were pretty much in the woods. Maybe you want yours somewhere else. Maybe yours is more contemporary, meaning it's happening today. Maybe they're in Marietta. Maybe they're somewhere else that you enjoy going that you can write about and use descriptive words to tell us about. So the setting could change. Your plot probably won't change terribly because your goal is to mimic the story. Remember, mimic means to copy. You want to mimic the story as much as possible so that someone still feels like if they read your version, it's based on the Three Little Pigs version so that it doesn't sound like a completely brand new story. It should be some sort of a version. The light flashing, that's so funny, is the wind blowing outside and the trees are moving, and then the sunlight that's coming into this room is flashing a little bit. And it kind of looks like I've got a light that's blinking, but it's not. It's the outside sunlight that is moving, or the wind that's moving the trees, and then different sunlights coming into the room. Hope that's not too bothersome for you. Anyway, so you're changing characters, setting, plot. You're looking at the original version of the Three Little Pigs. And remember, when you work on your plan sheet, it's going to look a lot like the Frayer model, isn't it? So your plan sheet that we've used over the last months of school is basically the same thing. Remember, you're making the diamond in the center when you fold the paper. Okay, you've got your intro. You're going to kind of tell us, like, this is where we meet the characters. So this is where mom, maybe there's a mom, maybe it's a dad, maybe it's a grandparent, maybe someone else suggests, or maybe the boys run up to the family and they're like, we need to leave, we're old and we want to get out of this house. So an introduction of some sort, and then you've got your beginning and your middle, and then you've got some sort of an ending. So remember, because this is a fairy tale, it's perfectly appropriate for you to start off with some once upon a time and to end up with maybe some happily ever after. And I remember in the story there were a few key phrases that I heard over and over that I want to make sure I don't have to use those exact key phrases, but remember the not by the hair am I chinny, chin, chin. I remember that being repeated in both of those stories. And then I also remember either the pig or the wolf, whoever was the bad character, doing some huffing and puffing. So remember, you may want to, well, not even you may want to, you should come up with some sort of a key phrase that whoever your nasty character is repeats, or whoever your scared characters are say when they're being threatened. So I hope this helps. I hope this helps you remember. You need to create the Frayer model. So you should have 2 Frayer models by the end of your work today. One from the original story, and then one from today's version. And then you're going to start making your plan sheet and start writing your own version of the 3 Little Pigs. And we'll talk more about this, but I hope you get a chance to spend some time enjoying writing this story.